Don't listen to the critics on this one. This film is a great thriller, I think. Not just good, but great even. Yes, there are flaws, but I wouldn't let that ruin the film for you. I don't think it ruins the film at all. I think it's totally worth watching. I don't care what you guys say I have bad taste or if I'm a shill. Sue me.
I can't get away. I can't stop. I'll just do this one last one. Enjoy the rest of the concert.
Trap. A father and teen daughter attend a pop concert where they realize they're at the center of a dark and sinister event. There's a little bit more going on within the story of Trap. Yes, there is a concert where the father takes his daughter to a Taylor Swift-like concert, but it turns out to be a trap for a serial killer that the FBI knows is going to be there. And the twist being, the father is the serial killer. Now, that's not a spoiler. You see that right in the trailers. You know this fact right at the beginning of this film. And that made a lot of people concerned, worrying that this film was going to be too predictable. And then you have the director coming out and saying, oh no, there's still going to be like twists in this film. And now, after having seen the film, yeah, there is a twist in this film, but it's not significant. It doesn't really recontextualize the film in any crazy, memorable way. But despite that, I do think the film still has a feeling of unpredictability in it, which is good enough. The ending doesn't necessarily have to like catch you totally off guard. It's really about the journey, right? That feeling of uncertainty, and this film accomplishes that. Really, the strongest takeaway from this film, I thought, was the cinematography. No, not because like this film is like super stylistic or aesthetically pleasing, but it just does a really good job of using camera movement, lens sizes, and blocking to really illustrate how this character is feeling overwhelmed and he's starting to lose his cool as he feels that he's about to be caught and that his facade of being a nice, happy family man is going to just evaporate before his eyes. And it's clear that M. Night Shyamalan, the director of this film, he's very influenced by Alfred Hitchcock. You can see that in this filmography. You can definitely see that here, like I said, with the lens sizes and camera movements and even blocking, especially like the use of symmetry and even unbalanced symmetry within the frame. But the story is also really good. It's pretty impressive that in this film, or at least in the first half, you really do root for this serial killer character. And the reason why you root for him is for a couple things. Like, yes, you're going through his point of view. In the first half of the film, you don't really see how deranged he is. And additionally, all you're seeing is him sincerely trying to show his daughter a good time. He actually is a guy who seems to really love his daughter and would do anything for her, and he's really invested in like what's going on with her at school. And so there's a part of you watching this, rooting for him, thinking like, hey, okay, hopefully he escapes and maybe this all works out. Maybe it's copium, but I think it's how a lot of audience members feel when watching this film. I certainly did. But then what's also cool though is that there is a heel turn in this film, in a moment of complete desperation and inevitable defeat. This character that Josh Hartnett plays, the serial killer, becomes totally unhinged and psychotic, and then we really see that dark serial killer persona come out, and then as a result, you start to root against him. But I think that transition was really well done. And like I said, I think adds to like the unpredictability factor of the film, where you didn't really know what was going to happen. But nonetheless, even then, when you're still rooting against him, the film is tragic. It's tragic because you're seeing it through his point of view, and the one thing he really wants, more than just like escaping, it's really just to stay with his family, right? He has his daughter, he has his wife, he also has a little toddler son in the film. And like that's his main motivation throughout the film is I want to hold on to this piece of normalcy that I have. So like even though it's a thriller, it is partly a tragedy, and I really like that about the film. I think that was something that I didn't really quite expect, especially with how the film ends. Having said that, I definitely have some critiques on this film. Firstly, I really thought the dialogue was really wonky in this film, which dialogue isn't really something I criticize in films unless it's like really lazy exposition. But in this film, a lot of the dialogue, especially with Josh Hartnett's character, having like this warm relationship with his like preteen daughter, a lot of it feels very fake and unnatural. And I've seen people like try to argue that this could have been intentional because he's a serial killer who's trying to be normal and he can never really be normal. And it's possible, if I'm being charitable, which I think I already am, that probably is the case. But I feel like if that were the case, you would have other characters point out how fake he sounds, but you don't see that. And the only way that could work was if the film was taking a more surreal approach. Think like David Lynch films or his show Twin Peaks, where the dialogue is definitely wonky and weird, but the whole thing feels very wonky and weird. It's supposed to be very surreal, but Trap doesn't feel surreal, so I'm just gonna go ahead and think that the script just had issues and they probably should have rewritten it. Moving forward from that, I do think the climax of the film is the thing that's kind of dragging this film down just a little bit. It's definitely contrived, the climax. There are certain characters who take certain actions and put themselves voluntarily in certain situations that don't make sense at all, honestly. It just feels like the script demanded that these characters put themselves in these situations to create future tension in the film and the following scenes. And additionally, there's some like situations in the climax where Josh Hartnett's serial killer character he gets out of, and it seems almost impossible that he got out of these situations, and they don't even offer you an explanation. They kind of just like cut away and show you that okay, he's out. And I remember like everyone in the theater was kind of like stunned. You can kind of feel that, like stunned, like not even a great way stunned, like just confused, like how did he do that? And the other thing about the climax too, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, is that it definitely has pacing issues. There were 3 times during the third act where I thought to myself, wow, okay, wow, the movie's coming to an end. I'm really curious how they're gonna wrap this up in the next few minutes. I'm curious. But then it kept going for like another 10, 15 minutes each time I said that. And did it kill the pacing of the film? No, because I think the film still did a good job of making this feel very intense and unpredictable. But nonetheless, I think there's like 3 sequences in the climax, and he just took out one sequence, and there's one I know in particular, but I don't want to spoil it. It wouldn't change anything in the film. I think the pacing would have felt much better, and the film still would have been more intense, and the ending would remain the same. And that's probably what I would have done, but here we are. But overall, I like this movie. I thought it was strong. Great cinematography, simple but really cool story. Yes, there are definitely flaws, especially within the second half or the climax of this film, but I don't think that it really killed the movie. I think these flaws are being really overstated. I've seen a lot worse films than this, trust me. This is a solid thriller. Go see it in theaters. I think you're gonna have a good time. I would give this film 4 stars out of 5. Strong film. I definitely wouldn't mind watching again.
Daughter's never gonna forget this day.
Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you're going to check out Trap this weekend in theaters. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. I'll see you next time.